farmer takes his nephew camping. Nephew is a genius with many degrees, but he's never been camping before, and they go camping, and they set up their tent, and then they go to sleep for the night. And in the middle of the night, the farmer wakes up his nephew and says, "Look up." And the nephew looks up, and it's this incredible sky with these stars and clear, and it's just amazing. And so he says, "I see an amazing amount of stars." And he goes, "Well, what else do you see? And what meaning do you give it?" He says, "Well, I look up, and from a astronomical point of view, there are galaxies beyond recognition, and there's planets and probably other life out there. And from a meteorological point of view, it means there's going to be a gorgeous day tomorrow. And from a theological point of view, it means that we're all one, and there's the heavens, and it's just incredible to look at. Why? What does it mean to you?" Somebody stole our tent. All right. Here we go. Questions. New glasses, what do you think? Woo. All right. Let's see, we'll take these. We'll mix them up. Everybody gets a shot at this. Let's see what we got. What is the viewpoint really about Jesus Christ being born in the spring, since we celebrate his birth on Christmas Day? Well, I'm not sure I can answer that question. What is the viewpoint really about Jesus being born in the spring? I really don't know why they did that. I'm sorry. I've been stumped. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't make any sense to me either. Okay.
It's the same group of men who took the books of the Bible and left all the women out.
Yeah. Are New Year's resolutions obtainable? We talked about that last week, right? The idea that it's not about resolutions, it's about intention. It's about holding your feet to the fire around an intention. Something, and it was funny, I was talking to somebody else about this recently, and they said that they set intentions all the time, but their intentions sounded to me more like goals. I intend to achieve this, to achieve this, to achieve this. The intention I'm talking about is the one where we become the person we came here to be. It's not about what happens out there. It's not about the results that happen to our bodies. It's about our beingness and who we are in the world. What we want, like what my wife and I do, and for those of you who were here last week, you know this, we pick a word, a quality, that then we use as a guiding GPS for the entire year, so that no matter what circumstance is going on, we rely on that word to guide us as to what our next step is. My word for this year is healed. And so when I'm in a situation that is upsetting or doesn't seem to be going the way I want, instead of trying to fix that situation, my question to me is, what do I need to do now to experience healed? And then I do that no matter what the situation, instead of dealing directly with whatever the situation is, that I'm about that healing. And, a few years ago, my word was self-love. And so I dealt with that. And so it was, what can I do to love myself now? And so when you come up with an intention to put it to work, to put it to practice, to make it something that actually you will grow out of, you need to then ask the question as often as you can remember. See, that's the beauty of doing it this way. You forget sometimes, you remember sometimes, and there's nothing to beat yourself up about for not achieving a goal. It's all about moving towards being who you have come here to be. And I promise you that when you do that, results out there shift anyway. I see it all the time for myself, that as soon as I shift in here, as soon as I put that attention on what do I need to be that quality for myself, things out here shift. Happens all the time, totally worth taking time out so that you can be the person you have come here to be. Pick a quality, live by that quality. Remember to ask the question, what can I do to be living by this quality now? And then whatever pops up for you, do it. It really does work. All right. Next. Didn't I answer this lesson? Best way to deal with pain with spiritual guidance? That sounds familiar. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I see. These are the questions. I should have put them not in the pop. If after prayer, affirmation, our desire does not manifest, do we have to accept? Oh, did that one last time too? Okay. I think I just got through all the questions from last time. Where does faith play its part in spiritual mind treatment? It doesn't. Here's the thing. What spiritual mind treatment is about is getting to a calm assurance of knowing. Faith is not knowing. Now, faith isn't bad as a first step, but it's not spiritual mind treatment. Though the practitioners who have studied this and have been in this teaching for many years, what they know is that they need to stay in treatment until they have reached a place of knowing, which is the knowing that we are absolutely powerful, creative, spiritual beings. We absolutely have say over who we are being, no matter what the circumstance. And in shifting who we are being, that circumstance shifts. It does every single time. It does for me, it does for anybody I know who is willing to sit in the place of beingness until they can feel and experience that sense of knowing. Now, if you're new at this stuff, you're just starting to learn this stuff, well, then faith isn't bad. It's a good start. Faith is simply believing in something that, one of my original mentors, instead of using the word faith, he'd use the word working premise. A working premise is simply trying something on for size to see if it works, and you don't have to believe it. It doesn't matter. It's like trying on a coat that you don't know whether it's going to look good on you or not, and then you try it on, and sometimes you go, oh, this coat looks good. And then other times you go, no, it's not for me, right? You get to decide for yourself by trying it out. Faith is kind of like that. It's a way of trying out what it is you want to believe without yet believing it. Does that make sense? What you're doing here, and so faith is not a bad thing, but it has nothing to do with spiritual mind treatment. What we teach here is how to get to a place of knowing, where without a doubt, where we can embody what it is that we want to manifest, what we want to show up, what we want to be in our lives. But it always starts with not being something, not the doingness of create, and we are powerful people. And so you can, without ever embodying something, still make it show up through your hard work and efforts. But there is another way of creating in the world, and that is by embodying it first. You want to have prosperity in your life? Embody being a prosperous person. You don't need to have faith that the money's going to show up. I've seen people do that, have faith. They don't really believe the money's going to show up, but they're going to have faith that it does. And then when it doesn't, they're shocked. You know, this is different. This is actually embodying the fact that right here and now, with the resources I have, which, by the way, are way more than you think they are, right? We look a lot of times when we're looking at our resources, we're looking at them as if only resources we have are in the physical, are before our eyes. When in fact, there is a tremendous, and this is a fact, there are a tremendous amount of resources for you to draw on if you are willing to get to a place of understanding who it is you truly are. And there's no faith needed in that. I don't need faith that my bills get paid, the bills at the center get paid, that things work out in my prosperity, that when I need to, or my wife and I want to go on vacation or go here or do this trip. We just went down to San Diego for her to be, when Ash first signed up for ministerial school, we didn't have the money to pay for it. And so we didn't know how that was going to happen, and we didn't have faith about that it was going to happen. We knew it. We knew, since it was hers to do, since she knew it inside herself, that her calling and beingness was to become a minister, that going to ministerial school must work out. It's an of course. And so I was not shocked at all when her boss called her 2 weeks ago and said, "We've decided to pay for ministerial school for you." Because that's how it works when you know, not faith, know. That of course you're a prosperous, powerful, creative, spiritual being. But when we get stuck in the physics, I used to have somebody sit in my office, and when I was trying to explain this stuff to them, he would say to me stuff like, but physics. But the physics, you're trying to tell me something that's outside of physics. And I kept saying, yes, I am. Because there's more going on here. Miracles happen every day. There are people in the hospital every single day whose tumors disappear and the doctors can't figure it out. From a physics point of view, that shouldn't have happened, and yet it does. In our bodies, in the world, things happen all the time that we go, wow, how did that happen? How did that occur? How it occurred is somebody embodied, when Gandhi first said, we're going to free India from the British without firing a single shot, everybody laughed at him. They thought he was ridiculous. How can you do that? But he knew. He didn't have faith. He knew it. He knew it in himself, and he stood by that knowing with every beating he took. A lesser man might have said, wow, these beatings are getting rough. I better not do this anymore. But he knew, and that's way deeper than faith. Now, again, I'm not sloughing off faith as nothing, because it's a good starting point. If you don't believe in this stuff at all, have faith. Try it on for size. But spiritual mind treatment is about knowing. We clear? Yes. All right. Next question. Love that question. These are great questions, by the way. What is consciousness? Consciousness is a multi-layered thing. It's not a one thing. I mean, it is a one thing. Everything's a one thing. But there are many layers to it. And so when we look at consciousness, we have to look at what level of consciousness are we looking at. Even unconscious people, and I mean by really unconscious people like in a coma or something, have some level of consciousness. Anybody who's taken a breath, any being that is breathing, that we consider alive, has some level of consciousness. And that basics level of consciousness some consider in everything, even a rock throughout the universe, and that's what makes the universe exist, is consciousness. Others believe that that somehow there's an entanglement, that they have to be, they work together. But when I'm asked that question, my guess is what they're really referring to is the higher level of consciousness, which is an awakening. Because what we want to do is continue to awaken. When you're asleep at night and you have a dream, you awaken in the morning to know that that was a dream. The funniest part is that what we call awake is still dreaming. This is still a dream. We just don't know it yet because we haven't awakened yet. But those who have can see it. Now, for myself, I notice that I go back and forth, that I have days of awakenedness where I am just so clear on the dream that this is and the higher level of beingness that's possible right here and now. And then there are other days when I'm stuck in the dream like everybody else. Now, I spent 20 years practicing something called lucid dreaming, which is when I'm asleep and I have a dream knowing that I'm dreaming. And even there, after 20 years, sometimes I recognize when I'm dreaming that I'm dreaming, and sometimes I'm reacting in the dream as if it's for real. So consciousness is a process of awakening and awakening and awakening to the higher levels of knowing that it's all a dream, that there's always more going on, and that the better we get at being lucid around it, the more we have say around it. The more we get to play in it and realize the malleability of it. Like, for instance, when I am dreaming when I'm asleep and I realize I'm dreaming, normally I shift the dream because I like to fly. So I tend to have a lot of flying dreams, especially when I remember that what I'm doing is dreaming. What I do in this realm, when I remember that I'm dreaming, is I tend to reach a level of euphoria and compassion and love for what's going on around me, to the point sometimes where I feel like I'm almost disappearing, where it doesn't matter what's happening because it's all so beautiful. There is a level of seeing in this realm where everything, no matter how hard it looks, no matter how horrific it may appear, is simply just energy moving. That even in the worst of situations, our compassion that we bring to it, our love that we bring to it, shifts it for all those involved right then and there. That when we don't know we're dreaming, when we're sitting back and going, oh my God, what a horrible drama that's going on here. And it is, from a humanity level, it is. So I'm not trying to downplay that either, but I am saying that there is more. And that we have the ability to awaken to it with practice. And each time I get there, and I feel my heart bust open in that place, it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. Life, our living here, is the most beautiful, beautiful gift. and there is a way to experience it. So far, not for very long. But even for a minute, it's worth it. Every time I get there, it is absolutely worth it. All right. That answer that question? All right. What is the best way to have empathy for others? Open your heart. The best way to have empathy for others is to open your heart. Now, I know folks who call themselves empaths, and I'm one myself, which my wife likes to laugh at me about because I'll watch a TV show and however slang they're using in that TV show, by the time the show's over, I'm talking exactly like I was there right with them. So if I'm watching, a New Jersey type show, I'm talking like I'm from New Jersey. I watch a Western, all of a sudden I'm from the South. And so I know folks who think they have to guard their hearts because they feel like they're too empathic, that they're taking on too much. But I say, open your heart all you can. That what is going on in what you think you've taken on is your fear. And if you open your heart to the next level, I was once in this sweat lodge where the fire was really hot, and the man pouring the lodge had me get up on my knees and actually lean over the rocks so that when he was pouring the steam, it was coming straight into my face, and he just had me praying and praying and praying, and it was getting so hot, and I wasn't getting there. I was not getting to that next level that I needed to get to, but I kept trying, which never works, instead of letting go. And sooner and before I knew it, I was sitting back, and it was just too much, and my face was in the dirt. And the man turned to me who was pouring, and he said, "You were this close. If you just hung in there a little longer." And I think that happens with us when we open our hearts. I think sometimes it can hurt so much, and that we don't remember that we can actually open more, to where the pain dissolves itself, to where whatever we think is getting stuck in us actually will flow right through. Because I have also been in sweat lodges where I have been in that place where the heat has floored everybody else but me. And I have been able to sit there and thought, wow, this is in a very hot lodge, when everybody else is like flat out. And so I know what it's like to when you get to that next level place. And so the pain in the world is actually an opportunity to work through, to get to a higher place of consciousness, to open your heart to a new place of love and compassion for all beings that you can feel. And so when you feel afraid, when you feel like you've taken on too much, when you feel like you need to close your heart because it feels like it's too much, I encourage you, breathe and actually open more. Open. The more we open does not leave us vulnerable to others. It leaves us stronger within ourselves. But to experience that level of strength, you have to open through that part where you feel the most vulnerable. It's on the other side. It's there. I've been there. I know what it feels like. You can get there too. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of staying power and a lot of letting go. Staying power, letting go. Might sound like a paradox, but it's really there when you can breathe through it. Okay? All right. And that is our question and answer for today. How is that? Does that work for you? Next week, I'll just do a regular sermon, and then we'll look at, if enough folks want another one of these, we'll do another one of these at some point. All right, this is the point of the program. where we asked somebody to take the courage to walk up here and say, pray for me, where we pray on one of our own. Come on down, Josu. No, you want, no, come on. It's all right. What do you want us to pray for?
Prosperity and transportation so I can keep serving this wonderful community that I love.
Excellent. All right, stand right here. And we need 8 to 10 folks. You're going to sing a cappella.
Are you sure you don't want to?
I'm sure. I want you here. 8 to 10. Hands on. All right. And let's all just take a deep breath and relax. And as always, we start within our own hearts. Feel the love, the healing power of your heart. Feel it within you. Feel it healing and loving you. And now let it expand throughout your entire body. Feel the healing, prosperous, loving presence of your healing power, the spirit that is you. And now for those of you online who join us today, and for everybody in this room, let us feel that healing, loving essence, the spiritual essence of each other. And now as we take all this magnificent spirit energy, we send it through Josu, knowing his prosperity and well-being, his ease and grace in his service of this community and in all the service he does in life. We know for him the gifts he brings and the reception of those gifts, not just here, but in the world. We know his prosperity because we know our prosperity. We know the truth of who we are in a magnificently infinite universe where any and all who claim it can know their own prosperity, as we know this for Josu right here and now.
My love, my soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, my love. My soul sings out to you.
And I am so grateful for the power and the presence of our magnificent spiritual family, our magnificent spiritual community. I am so grateful for the power and presence that Josu is in his prosperity, in his knowingness of who he is and the gifts he brings. And I release this as we all say together, and so it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Varel.
That worked. That is the power and presence that we have to bring, to be together in this way, to know the truth for each one of us individually, to know the truth for our community, and to know the truth for those who have the courage to step up here and be prayed on. I'm so grateful for that. All right. This is the part of the program where I ask you to give. Take out what you're going to give and hold it in your hand. It doesn't matter whether it's $1, $10, $100, $1,000, deeds of property, gold mines, silver, diamonds. Hold it in your hand. Because this is power. This is presence. You want to unfold it because this is power that you are offering out to the universe that then returns to you multiplied abundantly. So let's say our affirmation together. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What I give, I receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am, and so it is.